General Hospital spoilers reveal that Sonny has begun to draw Ada Turner into his sphere with the kind of magnetism that feels effortless on the surface yet is, in truth, a carefully engineered progression. His approach is a blend of instinct and calculation, a slow-burn charm that unfolds in deliberate increments rather than sudden, uncontrolled bursts. Every word he chooses, every pause he allows to linger between them, is placed with precision, as though he's composing a melody only the two of them can hear. It's a method that has served him well in the past, but this time there's something different. This time, the flirtation isn't just a tool to disarm or distract. It's a conscious adjustment to the shifting reality between them, a recalibration designed to maintain control over a dynamic that could easily spiral into dangerous territory if left unmanaged. Sonny's awareness of the stakes is acute. Ada Turner is not merely another woman drawn into his orbit, she is a prosecutor with the power to dismantle everything he's built. Someone whose professional obligations place her in direct opposition to his world. That duality, potential lover and potential adversary, creates a tension that demands constant vigilance. He cannot afford to treat this as a casual indulgence, because every move he makes with her has the potential to tip the balance either toward intimacy or toward catastrophe. This is where his newest adjustment comes into play, shaping not just the trajectory of their flirtation, but also the pace of its escalation. Ensuring that he remains the one setting the boundaries and the tone. Yet even as he works to keep that control, there is a growing undercurrent, a new obsession that has quietly taken root in him. It's not the blinding, reckless infatuation of a man swept away by raw desire, it's the kind of fixation that sharpens his focus. Makes him study her as closely as he would an opponent in a high-stakes negotiation. He's reading the smallest details, the flicker in her eyes when he leans closer. The way her voice shifts when she's caught off guard, the subtle change in her posture when their banter drifts towards something more charged. These observations are not idle. They're part of the architecture of control he's building around this connection, an invisible structure that allows him to feel he's steering its direction. But control in matters of attraction is always fragile, and Sonny knows it. That's why this adjustment isn't just about fueling their chemistry, it's also about preparing for the shocks that may come. He's no stranger to betrayal, and the idea that Ada Turner's interest could be part of a larger strategy is never far from his mind. In anticipating this possibility, he's already laying the groundwork for how he will respond if the truth turns against him. Whether that means cutting ties abruptly, flipping the narrative to his advantage, or using her own emotions as leverage, Sonny wants to ensure that he will never be caught without an exit strategy. The dynamic between them has already begun to stretch beyond harmless flirtation. Each encounter adds a new layer, and with each layer, the stakes rise. Their exchanges are laced with a blend of playful tension and unspoken calculation. The kind of interplay where every smile could be genuine or could be a move in a much larger game. Sonny senses that Ada Turner, too. This is the point where Sonny realizes that his standard repertoire, his charm, his unpredictability, his talent for reading people, is no longer enough on its own. The situation with Ada Turner is too fluid, too layered, for him to rely solely on instincts honed in more straightforward battles. The connection between them is evolving with each meeting, introducing new vulnerabilities alongside new opportunities. And so he recognizes the need for yet another adjustment, one designed specifically for a relationship that is both a personal temptation and a professional threat. In this new adjustment, Sonny is not simply reacting to changes, he's engineering them. He's controlling the speed of their interactions, the emotional beats they hit, and the contexts in which they meet. He's ensuring that every shared moment can serve more than one purpose, building rapport while also testing boundaries. Deepening the attraction while also reinforcing the image of himself he wants her to see. It is a delicate dance, and he knows that if he missteps, the consequences could be immediate and unforgiving. What makes this all the more dangerous is that the deeper Sonny becomes invested in maintaining control, the more he risks losing it. Obsession has a way of reshaping priorities. And even a man as disciplined as Sonny is not immune to its pull. As he continues to adjust to this evolving game, he must confront the possibility that he's not just managing a risk, he's feeding it. Allowing it to grow into something that could one day demand a price he isn't prepared to pay. And yet, for all the danger, he cannot bring himself to step back. The attraction is a living thing now, woven into the fabric of his days, influencing his choices in ways he can sense but not fully resist. Ada Turner has become more than a passing interest. She's become a variable in his life that demands constant calculation, constant recalibration. Every adjustment he makes draws him deeper into the same unpredictable game he's trying to control. And with each step, the distance between strategy and surrender becomes harder to measure. In the end, Sonny knows that his latest adjustment may be the most dangerous one yet, not because it risks his freedom, but because it risks pulling him into a place where the heart, not the mind, makes the final call. And in his world, letting the heart lead has always been the surest way to lose everything. Sonny and Turner are no longer simply circling each other in the hazy space between curiosity and attraction. They have each begun to operate with a deliberate, almost surgical precision. Calculating every move in a game where control is the currency and missteps can be costly. What might look like casual encounters to the casual observer are, in reality, carefully orchestrated exchanges where each gesture, each turn of phrase, and even the silence between words is chosen with intent. Both of them are adjusting, reshaping the pace and tone of their interactions to keep the upper hand, and in doing so, they are building a new kind of control, one that is subtler, more fluid, and far more dangerous than either might have intended when this began. For Sonny, control has always been his shield and his weapon. In business, in personal relationships, and certainly in dangerous entanglements like this one, he knows that letting someone else dictate the rhythm is the fastest route to losing everything. With Turner, however, that control has taken on a new texture. It's not about intimidation or overt dominance, it's about guiding the current while making it seem as though they are both just drifting. He'll let her speak first in certain conversations, knowing the first move often reveals more than the responder's counter. He'll share personal anecdotes with just enough warmth to make them believable, yet withhold the details that might actually give her leverage. In every shared glance, every faint smile, there's a controlled invitation, enough to pull her closer, never enough to make himself vulnerable. Turner, for her part, is no stranger to control either. Her career has taught her to manage appearances, to navigate power dynamics without showing her hand too soon. In Sonny, she sees both a target and a challenge. Someone who can test the limits of her resolve and her skill. She adjusts in ways that mirror his own strategies, sometimes even anticipating them. She softens her tone when she needs his guard lowered, then sharpens it without warning to see how he reacts under pressure. She lets him think he's steering the conversation while subtly shifting it back to the territory she wants to explore. It's a dance of control layered upon control, with each of them trying to determine who is truly leading. The nature of these adjustments has shifted over time. In the beginning, they were tactical. Each change was designed purely to serve a clear, strategic goal. But as the days turn into weeks, those adjustments have begun to blur with something more impulsive, more instinctive. They are no longer entirely about strategy. Emotion has begun to seep in at the edges, changing the chemistry between them in ways neither can fully script. Sonny finds himself leaning into moments he didn't plan, letting a touch linger longer than necessary or offering a truth that is more revealing than he intended. Turner notices her own patterns shifting too, her laughter coming more easily, her curiosity about him extending beyond what is necessary for her mission. This is where the crazy adjustments begin to take form. They are not reckless in the sense of being thoughtless. They are reckless because they risk undermining the very control both of them value so highly. Each is testing the limits of the other's boundaries, pushing a little further with each encounter, seeing how far they can go without triggering retreat. Sonny, for instance, might mention a name from his past to see if Turner has done her homework, watching her closely for any flicker of recognition. Turner, in turn, might let slip a small detail about her personal life, true or not, to gauge whether it pulls him in closer or makes him pull away. The danger in these adjustments is that they are happening in real time, shaped as much by impulse as by design. Both of them are skilled at compartmentalization. Yet this situation is forcing them to merge compartments they would normally keep separate. professional goals are tangled with personal impulses. And the result is a volatile mixture that neither can fully predict. The more they adjust, the more they feed into a cycle where control breeds attraction, attraction invites risk. And risk demands further control. From the outside, it might look like two people simply enjoying a flirtation, but beneath the surface, there is a constant recalibration happening. Sonny notes when Turner's questions are too pointed, deciding whether to deflect with charm or counter with a question of his own. Turner notes when Sonny's stories shift in tone. When his eyes linger a fraction too long, and she files these observations away as both evidence and leverage. Each believes they are managing the other. Yet each is also being managed in ways they might not fully recognize, or are unwilling to admit. What makes this dynamic especially unstable is that both of them are operating under the assumption that they are the more disciplined player. Sonny sees Turner as someone who can be disarmed if he applies the right combination of charisma and unpredictability. Turner sees Sonny as someone who can be studied, mapped, and eventually outmaneuvered. This belief in their own superiority feeds into their willingness to make riskier adjustments. Convinced they can always pull back before crossing a line that can't be uncrossed. But history, both theirs and that of anyone who has played similar games in Port Charles, suggests otherwise. In the midst of this, their mutual obsession with maintaining control has become the very thing pushing them toward losing it. Each small adjustment, whether it's a calculated pause, a subtle shift in body language, or a seemingly spontaneous remark, adds weight to a growing structure that is becoming harder to balance. And because both of them are adding to that structure, the potential for collapse is twice as high. This is the irony neither seems willing to confront. The more they work to control the situation, the more it evolves into something uncontrollable. Attraction, once it crosses a certain threshold, changes the rules entirely. The boundaries they set early on, about what could be said, what could be implied, how far they would let things go, have already been bent, if not broken. The new control they think they've built is, in truth, a fragile illusion. One that depends on both of them continuing to play by unspoken rules that either could break at any moment. The crazy adjustments they are now making are proof of just how far things have gone. These are not the steady, measured changes of two people executing a plan. They are the erratic, sometimes contradictory shifts of two people caught between competing impulses. One moment, Sonny is pulling her closer with a hint of vulnerability. The next, he's pushing her away with a reminder of the danger she poses to him. One day, Turner is probing his defenses with sharp, targeted questions. The next, she's letting a moment of unguarded warmth pass between them without pressing for more. Every adjustment is a gamble, and the stakes are no longer purely professional. For Sonny, the risk is that in trying to keep her close enough to manage, he keeps her close enough to hurt him. For Turner, the risk is that in trying to lure him into a position of weakness, she lets herself be drawn into a connection that clouds her judgment. And because each of them believes they can navigate that risk better than the other, they are both leaning into it rather than away from it. As this continues, the need for further adjustments becomes inevitable. Sonny senses when the balance is tipping and knows he must introduce a new layer to his control, perhaps a display of openness designed to mislead, or a calculated retreat meant to make her pursue him more aggressively. Turner senses when her footing is slipping and responds with her own changes, perhaps a softer approach to make him drop his guard, or a sudden assertion of authority to remind him of her role. In this way, their connection becomes a living, shifting entity, one that requires constant tending. And with every adjustment they make, the line between strategy and surrender grows thinner. Neither of them may admit it aloud, but the truth is that they are already in deeper than they intended. Already at a point where the next adjustment might not be about maintaining control at all, but about deciding who they are willing to become in order to win. And that is the most dangerous part of all. Because in Port Charles, once you start adjusting yourself for someone else, you may find that you've already crossed the point where control is possible. And the game you thought you were playing is no longer yours to dictate. It belongs to the connection itself, and that connection may demand a price neither Sonny nor Turner is prepared to pay. Ada Turner and Sonny now stand at the center of a deliberate and calculated shift in their relationship, one that marks a decisive departure from the patterns they had been following. This new adjustment is not a small refinement to the way they speak or move around each other. It is a full recalibration of the terms of engagement. A subtle but undeniable repositioning of power and intention that proves something deeper is unfolding. The adjustment is purposeful, shaped by equal parts strategy and instinct. And it exists in that dangerous space where control and temptation overlap. For both of them, it is an opportunity to steer the narrative in their favor. But the very act of making this change has opened a door to a fresh wave of complications neither of them can fully contain. What makes this adjustment significant is how it has already begun to ripple outward, carrying with it a new form of trouble. By altering the rules between them, Sonny and Turner have effectively rewritten the context in which every other player around them operates. The move is as much about managing perception as it is about personal chemistry. On the surface, it can be dismissed as a shift in tone, an increase in warmth here, a moment of shared understanding there, but beneath the surface, it signals the presence of a new axis of influence, one that is drawing others into its orbit. That gravitational pull is already being felt by Sidwell, Anna, and Jason, each of whom now faces the consequences of a dynamic they did not set in motion but must nonetheless navigate. For Sidwell, the change presents a problem he cannot address with his usual precision. His long-laid plans depend on predictability, on knowing how Sonny will respond to pressure, on understanding which buttons to press and when. But the interplay between Sonny and Turner introduces variables he did not account for. If Turner's growing proximity to Sonny is genuine, Sidwell risks losing a potential ally in his own maneuvers. If it is a calculated act on her part, then Sidwell must contend with the possibility that she is playing a game whose outcome he cannot control. Either way, her involvement with Sonny destabilizes the quiet equilibrium he had worked to maintain, and that instability is already forcing him to make riskier decisions than he would prefer. Anna approaches the situation from a different vantage point. Her instincts, sharpened by years of reading both allies and enemies, tell her that this is not a simple matter of personal entanglement. She senses the undercurrent of tactical movement in Sonny and Turner's new adjustment, the way they are both testing boundaries while appearing to relax them. For Anna, this is not just about the possibility of romance or manipulation, it is about operational security. She knows how quickly a shift in personal dynamics can unravel a larger strategy. And she is already thinking 3 steps ahead, preparing for the moment when this adjustment begins to directly interfere with her own objectives. Jason, meanwhile, is caught in the middle of conflicting imperatives. His loyalty to Sonny demands that he read the situation carefully. Yet his own instincts warn him that what is happening between Sonny and Turner is more than either of them is admitting. He recognizes the signs of a controlled game, the measured glances, the calculated silences, but he also knows that emotions have a way of complicating even the most disciplined plans. Jason is not one to panic. But the awareness that this new adjustment could tilt the balance in ways no one has planned for keeps him on constant alert. What all 3 of them, Sidwell, Anna, and Jason, are experiencing is a shared and mounting sense of pressure, the kind that forces even seasoned operators into a heightened state of vigilance. The trouble is not loud or chaotic. It is the quiet kind, the type that grows in the margins and makes everyone second-guess their own moves. In this atmosphere, every conversation feels like a negotiation. Every decision carries the potential to trigger a chain reaction. It is this tension, more than any overt action, that is creating a kind of collective madness. A mental strain brought on by the need to adapt to shifting ground without losing one's footing. Sonny and Turner's adjustment has, in effect, become both the cause and the proof of this new trouble. It shows that a single change in how 2 people engage with each other can alter the entire playing field, forcing everyone connected to them into new and uncomfortable positions. The madness that Sidwell, Anna, and Jason now find themselves grappling with is not the result of reckless actions or sudden betrayals, but of the slow, deliberate erosion of stability, the realization that the rules have changed and that nothing, not even one's own instincts, can be trusted entirely. As the adjustment between Sonny and Turner deepens, the stakes will only rise. Each new exchange between them will either reinforce the control they believe they have or chip away at it. revealing cracks that others might exploit. And as those cracks widen, the ripple effects will grow stronger, pulling Sidwell, Anna, and Jason further into a situation that is no longer just a matter of interest or observation, but a direct challenge to their ability to maintain their own positions in a landscape that is shifting beneath their feet. In the end, the new adjustment is more than a momentary tactic. It is a catalyst, a destabilizing force that proves even the most controlled relationships can trigger unpredictable consequences. It is a reminder that in Port Charles, no move is isolated, and no connection, no matter how carefully managed, exists in a vacuum. Sonny and Turner may believe they are shaping the outcome, but the truth is that the outcome is already shaping everyone around them, driving Sidwell, Anna, and Jason into a shared state of strategic urgency that borders on obsession. And from that point forward, every move they make will be haunted by the knowledge that one small shift between two people has the power to redraw the entire map.